Tadekam Jagat Sakshi Rupam Namamaha Sadekam Nidhanam Niradambamisham Bhavam Bodhiputam Sharanyam Rajamaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. On that alone do we meditate, that alone do we worship, to that alone, the witness of the universe, do we bow. To that one who is our sole eternal support, the self-existent Lord, the raft to safety across the ocean of this world, do we come for refuge. Om, peace, peace, peace. So, Happy New Year. It always feels like a little something special when the New Year comes, isn't it? I think everyone can find a seat and be comfortable, and something about the New Year, it always strikes me a little bit strangely because it's just arbitrary actually. We have decided to change, now it's a new year, and now it's fresh, and we make resolutions that now that's a new year, I'm going to change my life and I'm going to do things differently this year. And it's only the 5th of January yet, so at least some of our resolutions maybe haven't yet been broken. But usually most of them get broken pretty soon. But what is it about this new year? There's something about it that I think attracts us, appeals to us because it's new. It's like we're starting afresh. We're forgetting all the past year, and we say now we have a fresh slate to start with, and we're going to do that today. This year we're going to have it. Everything's going to be new and fresh. And then pretty soon we find out that, well, this year is pretty much like last year, and it goes on, and then we fall back into our old habits, and we are stuck there in the same place. Well, I think part of what it is about the new year is very apropos of our topic today. This idea that it's new. We can maybe ask the kids to pipe down so that I can think. See, the new year comes, and we feel like we can forget about the past and be in the present and understand that our future is in our own hands, and we can make resolutions to live differently, and then those old habits come back. But there's something very special about being awake to the present moment. There's something very important to being here now. And I think we recognize that at the new year, and then we forget it again. But actually, this idea of being here now, when else could it ever be than right now? Where else could we ever be than right here? People say, you know, they'll come up to me and they'll say, so are you still in Los Angeles? Are you in Los Angeles now? And I look at them and say, well, no, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina right now. We have this funny ways of talking, but actually, we're right here, right? Right now. So this is the paradox of our lives, and the tragedy, you can say, that most of the time we are neither here nor now. We are being there then. We are either remembering the past or worrying about the future. And this is the kind of the tyranny of our thought, of our obsession with what has already passed and which cannot be changed, or with what is yet to come and which cannot really be known. And we lose the magic of this present moment, of being here now. And we ignore the glory of this moment, because the more we can be awake to this present moment, the more we have the opportunity to become aware of the glory of our own soul, the glory of the divine manifesting through us at this moment. But because we're thinking about the past and remembering and rehashing and then planning for the future and worrying and hoping and anticipating, we lose this moment, which is the only moment there ever is. So this is the topic I want to take up today, this idea of learning, of the infinite potential that we have in this present moment, and how we might learn to dwell in the moment consciously, and what it means to be here now. I should give a little nod to Ram Dass, the well-known American author. He broke a lot of ground with his late 60s or early 70s book, Be Here Now. This talk is not based on his book, but it is borrowing, in a sense, the topic. The title of his book is a real groundbreaking book. It brought a lot of people to spiritual life, introduced the American public to the ideas of Vedanta. Again, of course, Swami Vivekananda had done so almost 100 years earlier. Being here now. We are always in the present tense. And I'd like to share a wonderful quote from Swami Vivekananda, a powerful analysis he makes. He says, all the past and all the future are here in the present. Mm-hmm. And he goes on to analyze it. No one ever saw the past. Did any one of you ever see the past? When you think you are knowing the past, you only imagine the past in the present moment. To see the future, you would have to bring it down to the present, which is the only reality. The rest is imagination. So we can think about the future, yes, but we're only imagining it now. We can only imagine it in the present moment. We can remember the past, as it were. We're only imagining it in the present moment. This present is all that is, he affirms. There is only the one. All is here, right now.
Sorry. Hush. Your battery is low.
So, all is here right now. And here's a very powerful claim. He says, one moment in infinite time is quite as complete and all-inclusive as every other moment. One moment in time is quite as perfect, quite as complete, all-inclusive as any other moment. In other words, no one moment is better than another moment. All that is and was and will be is here in the present. Let anybody try to imagine anything outside of it, they will not succeed. So this is a brilliant analysis. Especially what strikes me very strongly is this, that one moment in infinite time is quite as complete and all-inclusive as every other moment. Because we do the opposite. We think, well, right now it may not be that good, but as soon as we get the new year, or as soon as we get our new president, or as soon as I get a promotion at my job, or as soon as I find a spouse, or as soon as something, it'll be better. Swami Vivekananda says, right now, this moment is equally full and all-inclusive and perfect. Right now. Nothing else has to happen. Right now is perfect. How about that? So, this really fascinating what happens. We start thinking about the past, and then our minds get filled with that, and we forget that we lose our awareness of this present moment, and we go into a kind of a dream, an imagination, a reverie, and we're just thinking of the past and remembering the past. There's there's a whole book on this. What's it called again? A long title. The Remembrance of Things Past. Proust, right? Does that ring a bell with anyone? Where's Shivani? She would know. She couldn't come today. So I become fully identified with thinking about the past, and then I am not here at all. And then I'm thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. And on Tuesday I have to catch my flight back to LA. And after that I have to get back to LA, then I have to do this and that, and I have various things to, and then I'm also not here. I'm dreaming about the future, which is not here now. I'm dreaming now, but I'm not aware of being right here, right now, in the company of my friends and fellow Vedanta students. And yet, all this thinking of past and future is taking place in this moment, and it could not be otherwise. So, it can be said that no other time exists. The past doesn't exist, and the future doesn't exist. Only this moment exists. Only now exists. So why then do we spend so much time thinking of that which is unreal, which does not exist? Our brains have evolved an incredible machine and our bodies to preserve this organism, this biological organism. The evolution has made it so that we preserve this organism. And for the preservation of this organism, food is needed and protection is needed. And to continue, of course, an additional evolution is to create more organisms like me that will carry on. So reproduction. So we are hardwired biologically to remember the past and project into the future. I've seen the tigers eat human beings. I don't want to be eaten. I want to preserve this organism. I have to watch out for tigers. I have to think where there might be tigers, avoid them. I have to avoid destruction. I have to reproduce. I have to see who is a good mate. How can I manage to arrange for reproduction in this situation? So I think preoccupation with the past and the future can be linked in some way to this. And Vedanta has a term for this, has a dual Sanskrit term for this preoccupation with the past and the future, and calls it raga and dvesha. Raga and dvesha. Raga, that desire to experience again pleasant experiences. We have a pleasant experience, a pleasurable experience. We eat a brownie and we enjoy it. It gives us pleasure, intense pleasure perhaps. And raga is, I want to have that experience again. I want another brownie. When can I get another brownie? This raga, it's on the one, it connects us to the past and to the future. I want. And dvesha is just the other side of the coin. I have a bad experience. Somebody at work insults me in front of others. It's a very unpleasant experience. I don't want to experience that again, so I avoid that person. I avoid being in the company of that person. I have a strong feeling of not wanting to repeat that experience again. That's raga and dvesha. So it's a kind of like a memory loop of raga and dvesha, which keeps us tied to the past and to the future. Interestingly, the scientists who study brain processes say that the same processes that are used to remember the past in the brain are also used to imagine the future. So it's the same brain processes that are in this kind of loop of raga and dvesha. But the sages of all times affirm that we can actually go beyond raga and dvesha. And Sri Krishna describes what someone is like who has done that. And of course, when Sri Krishna is describing someone who has attained a certain level of perfection in the Gita, he's describing that. He's also prescribing for us the same thing as a practice. And he says, Raga dvesha vimuktaistu vishayanindriyaischaran atma vashyair vidhe atma prasadam adhigacchati. The self-controlled person, moving among objects of the senses, with the senses under restraint, and raga, dvesha, vimuktahi, with freed from that raga and dvesha, that attraction and that aversion. What happens? Prasadam adhigacchati, attains to peace, attains to joy. So that tranquility is this present moment. That tranquility is resting in the awareness that is who we are, that awareness which is our true nature. Where we are undisturbed by painful memories and undisturbed by projections, longings, and fears, undisturbed also by pleasant memories, undisturbed by fears of what may come. Now, some of you may be thinking, wait a second, that's ridiculous. I treasure my memories. They bring me joy, and I need to plan for the future. That anticipation also brings me joy. We find actually that young people, they have lots of anticipation of what will come, and the excitement of the life and what career and what family and all those things which are yet to come, and imagining them. And the older we get, the more we start living in our memories. And as old people, we remember all our. It gives us some happiness to think of all the things that we accomplished in life, and we just chew the cud, as it were, of our old experiences. But true, remembering pleasant experiences gives us a little bit of joy, but not true joy, not true peace. There's always a wistfulness about remembering those things. The true peace and true joy we can dwell in that only right here and right now in this present moment, which is as infinitely perfect as any other moment, because actually it is the only moment. So it's not that there are different moments, there's only that one moment, right now. And if we can be in it, then the doors to peace, the doors to joy open for us. So it's becoming aware of our own being, our own isness, our own awareness, and realizing that all experience unfolds in our own awareness, right here, right now. That's called the Sakshi Bhava, the attitude, the mood of the witness, watching everything unfold in us, in who we truly are. Now, I think to really understand this, we have to get a taste of it. And I'm pretty sure that all of us, or most of us at least, have had a taste of this. Maybe not many tastes, but we have had a taste. And let's talk about some of the ways that those tastes we may have tasted that. One way is when we experience great, extraordinary beauty. For instance, perhaps in the mountains, and the sun is setting, and the snow-tipped peaks of the mountain tops are touched with the golden rays of the sun as it falls down, and perhaps an owl hoots off in the distance, and suddenly we are lifted out of our ordinary consciousness of locked into our thoughts and the past and the future, and we're awake to the moment because the extraordinary beauty sort of shocks us out of it. Swami Vivekananda had such an experience when he was about 15 years old. He was lying in a cart that was on his way to Raipur from Calcutta. He was, at some point in the journey, they were in a cart, traveling through the mountains. And he was looking up at the sky, and they were passing between two mountain peaks, and high up in a cleft of the rocks, there was a giant beehive, which must have been there for ages and ages, full of the bees and the honey, and something about the extraordinary beauty stilled his mind and sent him into ecstasy. Or perhaps we get a chance to go out into the desert in the middle of the night, on a dark, moonless night, and the canopy of stars, the hundreds of thousands of stars which are visible on a truly dark night in the desert, takes our breath away, and we ask, what glory, what glory. Our minds are stunned into silence as we bask in the glory of that experience. That is being here now. We're no longer thinking about what we're going to have for breakfast tomorrow or what we did earlier in the day. We're right there in the glory, in the glory. Actually, the glory is ours. We think it's the glory of the stars. It is we who give the stars their glory, because it is in our awareness that we become aware of their glory. It's our glory, the glory of our own souls. Perhaps some soul-stirring music. Perhaps we attended a concert by some virtuoso musician, or it was a puja and somebody sang so beautifully that for the moment our minds were lifted out of the usual round of memories and projections, and we were present in the moment. And what happens at those times? Sometimes tears come to the eyes as we feel the glory of the beauty of this music. We get lifted into the now. I think even intense physical pleasure can bring on this experience. And I'm thinking of a delicious sweet that I was once given. This was in connection with a marriage in Washington, D.C., or connected with devotees of our Washington, D.C. center. And it was a cross-cultural marriage between a Bengali girl and a Swiss boy. And so at the wedding, they served a hybrid sweet of course, I didn't attend the wedding. Much after the wedding, I happened to visit they happened to visit the center, and they brought these sweets that they had served. It was a hybrid sweet of a rasagolla, the prototypical, most delicious Bengali sweet, homemade rasagolla, dipped in Swiss chocolate.
Wow!
So, this was,
Now all of us we have to try.
I think there was something else like a cherry on top or something
No,
to
rasagolla
make it, yeah. So I was given one, and it was so good that for a moment I was stunned. It was just this flavor filling the mouth, filling the whole mind, as it were. This very intense sense experience of tasting that sweet. What would you call it? A chocogolla or something? I don't know.
Mixing of culture.
So it was new, and it was intense, and it filled my experience, and I was brought into the present moment. For that moment, for a little while, I was enjoying that. It was so good. I didn't want a second one. It was so good. But now, of course, it's a memory. What would happen if I said, "Oh my God, that was so good. Please tell me who made these. I'm going to order 100 of them, and every day I'm going to eat one, so that every day I can be in the present moment." Would it work?
No,
No.
no,
It wouldn't work.
absolutely not.
It would just be chasing after a sense experience. Then it would become a longing for. It would become a raga, an attachment to that particular sweet. I would get probably put on a pound or so, or maybe two, and but I think that's why we chase after these experiences. Why? Because we get for a moment, we taste the joy of our own being. We taste the joy of the divine. Swami Vivekananda puts it, and he's paraphrasing from the Upanishads, wherever there is any bliss, even though in the most sensual of things, there is a spark of that eternal bliss, which is the Lord himself. So even in tasting a delicious sweet, or certainly when we are seeing the glory of a sunset in the mountains, or hearing beautiful music, we are getting some joy there. That is a spark of the eternal joy which is shining deep within our hearts. We're tasting the joy of the divine. Thrill seekers also, I think, are seeking for that same joy of being fully present in the moment. When you're hurtling down a roller coaster at 70 miles an hour and it looks like you're hurtling towards certain death, though you know that actually you're not, the mind is completely brought into the present moment, into the excitement of that, and taste that joy. Or rock climbers, when one wrong step, or one wrong foothold could mean death, or at least the sensation of death, if hopefully you're wearing a rope, you're brought into the present moment. Why? Because one wrong footstep means death. You don't think about anything else but where to put my foot now. Beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. And there's a term coined by a Hungarian psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He coined this term flow. Perhaps some of you have heard of it. It describes. He wrote a book about it. Yes, and I think many times some of these experiences actually are like that. He describes it as, quote, a state of being in which people become so immersed in the joy of their work or activity that nothing else seems to matter. And it seems that intensely physical or intensely creative activities are most often liable to produce or induce this state of flow. So an athlete, perhaps in a marathon, or in an intense basketball game, or a musician performing a challenging piece of music, an artist immersed in painting, a writer absorbed in writing, or a surfer on her surfboard on the ocean, getting ready to catch the next wave. This is, we are brought into the present moment and into the joy of simply being fully awake to what we are doing and not being distracted by the past or the future. So it is possible to be here now. I think these examples, I see a number of people nodding that I think many of us have at least tasted this experience from time to time. And it's wonderful, isn't it? And we'd like to have it more. And can we do it all the time? Do we need a sunset in order to experience it? Do we need that beautiful music in order to experience it? Do we need the chocogolla in order to experience it? Vedanta says, no. We can experience it all the time. It is our birthright. It is not an experience to chase after. It is actually our birthright. It is the glory of our own true self. So we can cultivate this awareness. We can practice it. We can gradually get established in it. So this is so important. So we can say, if this moment is the only moment that ever is, and if time is an illusion, then why do we experience the reality of time? Look at a photograph, take a photograph of yourself from 20 years ago, and then just put it next to a snapshot taken this morning. And tell me that time does not exist. The reality of time is undeniable from that standpoint. So long as we are in it, on the level of the physical world, it is undeniable, and it is all devouring. It devours everything. It destroys everything. Every mind, every body, even every world. And I like at times like these to turn to Swami Vivekananda again, where he paints the picture in such powerful poetic language. He says, time, the avenger of everything, comes, and nothing is left. He swallows up the saint and the sinner, the king and the peasant, the beautiful and the ugly. He leaves nothing. Everything is rushing towards that one goal, destruction. Our knowledge, our arts, our sciences, everything is rushing towards it. None can stem the tide, none can hold it back for a minute. We may try to forget it in the same way that persons in a plague-stricken city try to create oblivion by drinking, dancing, and other vain attempts, and so becoming paralyzed. So we are trying to forget, trying to create oblivion by all sorts of sense pleasures. And this, he says, is Maya. This is Maya. That though our true nature is infinite joy, we rest ever in infinite joy in this present moment, yet time comes and takes everything away that we invest with importance. We invest our house with importance, we invest our body with importance, we invest our wisdom, our knowledge, our sciences, everything we try to make all of them permanent, and time comes and takes them all away. When, all along, our true self is ever unchanged and ever blissful. This is the Maya. So why am I bringing in this? Acknowledging this reality of time can be a great help in spiritual life. It can spur us to, my God, time swallows up everything. I have to go beyond time. How do I go beyond time? By awakening to this present moment. By being here now. Or taking refuge, taking shelter in the Lord of time. So Shankaracharya, in his beautiful prayer, which is the hymn of seeking forgiveness for our transgressions, it's a beautiful prayer to Shiva. Let me chant one of the verses later on. It's the 13th verse. Ayur nashyati pashyatam pratirinanyati kshayam yauvanam pratyayam tigata punarna divasa kalo jagad bhakshaka lakshmi stoyataranga bhanga chapala vidyuchalam jivitam tasmad mam sharanagatam sharanada tam raksha rakshadana. So it's a prayer. First, he notices that everything comes to an end. He says, day by day does one come nearer to death. Every day brings us one day nearer to death. One's youth wears away. The day that is gone never returns. Almighty time devours everything. Fickle as ripples on water is Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. Life passes by like a flash of lightning. O Shiva, O giver of shelter to those that come to thee for refuge, protect me, who have taken refuge at thy feet. So here the idea is you take refuge in the Lord of time. Take refuge in time itself, in Kali, who is time, the all-destroyer, in Vivekananda's poem. So seeing all this, seeing how everything is destroyed by time. The devotee runs to take shelter in the Lord of time. O Shiva, O giver of shelter to those that come to thee for refuge, protect me, who have taken refuge at thy feet. And lift me up into this present moment. Take me beyond time. Let me taste the joy of my timeless being right here, right now. Let's remember and amusing and also fascinating incident in the life of Swami Vivekananda. This was in 1900, in March, in San Francisco. Swami Vivekananda was in San Francisco, and Mr. Allen, one of his disciples, remembers this rather unusual incident. He writes, this is March 25th, 1900. A lecture at Union Square Hall, Post Street, was advertised to begin at 3 p.m. Mr. Allen used to introduce Swamiji to the audience, and then Swamiji, he was an usher for the lectures, and then Swamiji would give his talk. So talk is to begin at 3 p.m., but at 3 p.m., Swamiji was not there. We waited and wondered what to do, and concluded that we must just wait. Several times I went out onto the street to see if he was visible. At last, at about 3:30 p.m., I saw him slowly walking up. I went and met him and walked with him towards the hall. I said, "Swami, don't you know you're late? The audience has been waiting." Swami replied, "Mr. Allen, I am never late. All time is mine. I have all the time in the world." Mr. Allen didn't quite understand that. He said, "Well, Swami, the audience may not feel the same as you do." But Swami went on at his same leisurely pace. On the way, we had to pass a shoe shine stand. And when Swami saw that the shoe shiner was idle, he went up to him to have his shoes polished. I was silently fidgeting, thinking about the people who had come to hear the lecture, but my fidgeting did no good. At last, Swami got on the platform and was again introduced to the audience, which had more or less patiently waited for him. Of course, I would be ready to wait for 100 hours for Swami Vivekananda, but to get the chance to see him, or maybe 100 years, maybe 100 lifetimes, who knows. But what do we make of this? What do we make of this? We find Swami Vivekananda seemingly utterly indifferent to time. He has a lecture scheduled at 3, and at 3:30 he's finally walking up slowly. Mr. Allen reminds him that he's late, and he says, "I'm not late. I am never late. I have all the time in the world. All time is mine." And then he stops to get his shoes shined. Is he crazy? What's going on? You know, I mentioned this, I told this story in Hollywood, and afterwards 2 people came up to me and they said, "You know, that made me really angry. Swamiji did not respect the people who had come to hear his lecture. And here we are, more than 100 years, 124 years later, and they're angry that Swami Vivekananda made the people wait for him in the talk." I thought that was funny, but what they didn't understand, what it means to dwell in the consciousness beyond time, and to be only in that ever-present now, and to struggle in a way to bring his mind into this world of time and to act according to its dictates. He found it difficult to do, particularly in Northern California in 1900, when he was in a uniquely exalted state of mind. When he reached Alameda, the island across the bay from San Francisco, Mr. Allen greeted him jovially, saying, "So, Swami, I see you are in Alameda." Swamiji replied gravely, "No, Mr. Allen, I am not in Alameda. Alameda is in me." So that's how he could say that all time is mine, because Alameda also is in him. He is not in space and time. Space and time is in him. As he would say in his letter to Mrs. Bull, "Coming and going is all pure delusion. The soul never comes nor goes. Where is the place to which it should go, when all space is in the soul? When shall be the time for entering and departing, when all time is in the soul?" So here clearly Swami Vivekananda is identified with the soul, that capital S soul, the self, the divine, the infinite. And time is only a kind of imagination unfolding within that. As an aside, when Mr. Allen introduced him at that lecture to the audience, he felt that he was standing next to a giant, and he himself was a little pygmy. And ever after that, he could not dare, I should say, to introduce him from the platform. He would always introduce him from the floor below the platform. He wouldn't stand next to Swamiji after that. So, of course, the person we know as Swami Vivekananda, that bodily embodied person, he was late for a lecture and was in Alameda. But for Vivekananda, it was not so. And yet, at the same time, Swami Vivekananda, he was not lazy. In fact, he navigated this world of time and space, our world of time and space, with ineffable grace and skill. And I think he could do this precisely because he dwelt in the ever-present now. And though you could not hurry him, you could not make him hurry up if you wanted to catch a train or something, and he's, will there not be another one later? Maybe the next one is only tomorrow. Well, all right. You couldn't make him hurry. Yet, here's another incident recorded by another disciple, Frank Rodehan. His first meeting with Swami Vivekananda. His personal appearance on my first interview was a pleasurable shock from which I have never fully recovered. This was in San Francisco, in the rooms they had rented in San Francisco. He had on a long gray dressing gown and was sitting cross-legged on a chair, smoking a pipe, his long hair falling in wild disarray over his features. His interview was continued 15 minutes beyond the time set for a class on Raja Yoga to be held in the front room of the house. There were 3 rooms in the house, and you could travel through the 3 rooms or go through a little hallway on the side. And Swamiji's bedroom was in the middle, and they were sitting in the back room. So we were interrupted by the lady in charge of affairs, that's Mrs. Hansbrough, who rushing into the room and exclaiming, "Why, Swami, you have forgotten all about the yoga class. It is 15 minutes past time now, and the room is full of people." The Swami arose hastily to his feet, exclaiming to me, "Oh, excuse me, we will go to the front room now." I walked through the hall to the front room. He went through his bedroom, which was between the room we had been sitting in and the front room. Before I was seated, he emerged with his hair neatly combed and attired in his sannyasin robe. Not more than 1 minute had elapsed from the time he started from his room with disheveled hair and in lounging attire, till he came leisurely out into the front room, ready to lecture. Speed and precision of action were evidently at his command. It's also interesting to note that though Swami Vivekananda seemed so utterly careless about time when he was here in America, for his brother monks and the monastery that he organized, he was extremely particular about keeping to time. He insisted on it. Whenever you promise to do any work, you must do it exactly at the appointed time, or people lose their faith in you, he said. And monks were expected to attend morning meditation on time. A bell was rung, it's still rung, to wake up early in the morning, 4 in the morning, or even 3:40 in the morning. And monks are expected to go and meditate. And in those days, if any monk failed to get up and meditate, he wouldn't get food from the monastery kitchen. If he wanted to eat, he would have to go out and beg his food. So he was very strict. So what do we make of this? I think it's that the extremes often look alike. We've touched on this a number of times. It's the difference between sattva and tamas. If I am late for a lecture, if I am 45 minutes late for a lecture, then it means that I am lazy, or I am unmindful or I don't really have regard for the people for whom I'm going to give a talk. But for Swamiji to be late for a lecture, it's because he's dwelling in that realm beyond time. He has gone beyond time. So it looks the same. Two people are late for a lecture, but one is late because he has gone beyond time. And the other is late because he's inefficient or lazy or disrespectful. So he wants us to start from where we are. We are not yet there that we can be late for all our appointments and say, oh, but I dwell beyond time. I have all the time in the world. Time is mine.
That won't work for us.
So it doesn't work for us. Yes. So what about, let's talk about a few practical hints. How do we learn to be more present to this moment, to be more awake to our present moment, to the glory of our own soul? Of course, it helps a lot to have a daily practice of meditation in which we can start to intuit that glory of our own soul. But as far as day-to-day life goes, I'd like to suggest a few things that I think also are important, which are widely avoided, or the opposites are widely practiced. First is to avoid hurry. To avoid hurry. We live in the land of hurry. Swami Vivekananda called it brutal and indecent. Brutal, indecent hurry, and you could not hurry him. Hurry suggests a harriedness, doesn't it? Rushing haplessly, making mistakes along the way, thinking of all the things, oh, I'm hurrying and I need to do this and I need to do that, and then we forget something because we're hurrying and we make a mistake, and so it actually ends up taking more time, and we're not giving attention to the task at hand. When we slow down, we can actually be more efficient, and we can learn to be here when we're not hurrying. I saw online a tip, how to type faster. I thought, I want to see how to type faster. That's interesting. We're now all tied to our keyboards. If we can type faster, great. How to type faster? Turns out the advice is by typing more slowly. Why? Because when we type too fast, we make mistakes, and then we're hitting that backspace key. I'm hitting the backspace key all the time on my keyboard because I'm going too fast and make a mistake. Back. Type more slowly, we end up typing more quickly. And second, and this is related, do one thing at a time. The human mind cannot do two things at once, at least not with attention. Now you can say, hey, I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Okay. I can drive and talk to my friends at the same time in the car. Yes. When at least one of those things is a habit, we can to a certain extent. Driving has become habitual. We have learned the habits of driving so well that we can engage in a conversation with a passenger. I don't know if it's happened to you, but it's happened to me many times that while driving along, engaged in conversation with a passenger, I miss the exit. I miss the turn. I keep going straight. Suddenly I realize, oh my God, I was talking to you and I didn't notice that we have to turn. So even there you see, yes, in a sense I was doing two things at once. I was having a conversation and driving. But I wasn't driving well because I missed the turn and probably wasn't able to give full attention to my friend either in the conversation. I learned about this multitasking in a kind of shocking, to me it was a kind of shock when I learned about it, the one that many people do. This was before mobile phones and texting, but there was already the keyboard chat. People were chatting on computer. And I was having a conversation with a devotee, and there were these funny pauses in the conversation. Like I'd say something, and he wouldn't reply immediately. He'd reply after like 3 or 4 seconds. And it's like, a little bit strange. So suddenly I thought I heard something that I asked him, what are you doing? And then he said, oh, I'm texting with someone. So he was having two conversations at the same time. He was having a conversation by text on the keyboard with, I don't know who, somebody, and he was having a conversation by voice with me. And he thought somehow by doing this he was saving time, I guess, or I don't know what he was thinking. He was doing both things at the same time, and obviously not giving proper attention to either. And I certainly noticed, I certainly felt like something's wrong with this conversation. So, but we do that nowadays. Nowadays, this is the standard. Even texting and driving. How many people do that? Don't do that. Please don't do that. Get accidents happen like that.
In some states, it's a law that taxing is
Including North Carolina.
I think most states it's illegal, but people still do it. Or maybe not while driving, but you come to a stop sign. Oh, okay, now I can quickly change. Yes, we do it. So, when we do these things, we miss our appointment with life. And this comes from a beautiful quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Buddhist teacher who recently, just I think a year or two ago, he left his body. And he's well known for promoting the practice of mindfulness, of being in the present moment. And he writes like this, and it's very powerful. He says, you have an appointment with life. You should not miss it. The time and the space of your appointment is the here and the now. If you miss the present moment, if you miss the here and the now, you miss your appointment with life, which is very serious. Learning to come back to the present moment, to be fully present and alive, is the beginning of meditation. I love this. We have an appointment with life, and the appointment is when? Oh, my appointment is in half an hour. Oh, I have to hurry, I have to reach my appointment. No! Your appointment is right now, right here. This is your appointment with life. Every moment of your life is your appointment. Don't miss the appointment with life. It's right here, right now. All right, I have to see the doctor also. But getting there is also part of my appointment with life. He has of course, he particularly recommends using the breath as a way to bring our attention back to the present moment, because our breath is very immediate. It's our bodies that we feel the air rushing into the lungs, and it's right now, right here, that we can feel that, and we experience it, and our life depends on it. So it's very immediate and very important also. And he suggests bringing some affirmations to that practice of breathing. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I calm body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. Breathing out, I feel it is a wonderful moment. I'm not suggesting that we don't have to make plans for the future. I have made my plans I have an airplane ticket to go on Tuesday back to Los Angeles. I know I have to do some things then. And so yes, I had to plan for that, but could I plan for that in the present moment? Could I be awake to the present moment while planning that? I think so. We can learn to do that. Yes, we also set some career goals. But how are we going to get there? We're never going to get there except in this present moment. So paying attention to this present moment is extremely important, even for attaining something like a career goal, because it's only in the present moment that anything ever happens. And it's when we can't do that, when we can be in this present moment, that we start to taste the joy of our life. The joy of being alive, the joy of being, the joy of our own being, the joy of I am, the joy of I am that I am. Not the joy of I am somebody, I am Swami, I am famous, I am wealthy, I am those things. Just the joy of I am. And that brings also a joy to all our relationships. When we can meet those other people in our lives in the moment and see them as they are, see them as fellow seekers on the path, see them as fellow sparks of divinity, and not think, oh, what can I get from this person, or what is this person going to do to me, or just be with this person. When we meet anybody, be it the cashier at the supermarket, or our mother-in-law, or our children. Children is particularly important. As children, we need the one-pointed attention of our parents to grow and to mature in a healthy way. I'm happy to see many parents giving that attention to their children. Let me close with a quote from a contemporary teacher who is also well known for teaching about this being present in the moment. Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah,
He has a famous book. His book is The Power of Now.
power.
This is a quote from that book. Nothing has happened in the past. It happened in the now. Nothing will ever happen in the future. It will happen in the now. We've been talking all about this. And then he says, as soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolve, and life begins to flow with joy and ease. When you act out the present moment awareness, whatever you do becomes imbued with a sense of quality, care, and love, even the most simple action. So, to wrap it up a little bit, today we have talked about the relentless march of time. We've touched on the relentless march of time and how most of us are caught in it, are bound by it. We are bound by longing for, we want to repeat pleasant experiences and we want to avoid painful experiences. We're caught by raga and dvesha. And yet we also have talked about how there is a way out of this bondage. To be here now, to dwell in the present moment, to learn to bring our awareness always to the present and dwell here and now, which is the only moment that is and the only place that is, the here and now. And we've heard a couple of, on the one hand, amusing and astonishing, but also deeply revealing stories about Swami Vivekananda, and how in the midst of the hurry of modern life, he stopped the clock, as it were. He rested in the timeless. He went beyond time, and he could be he shows us how to be in the present moment. And I'm not suggesting we imitate him. I'm not suggesting we be late for our appointments, but how we can gain tremendous inspiration from his life. We can be inspired by him to touch the timeless, to rest in the timeless, to know that we are the timeless. And we touched a little bit on some practical ideas, like slowing down, giving up hurry. But if we're really serious about giving up hurry, it means we have to plan a little. It means if I know it takes me 20 minutes to get to work, I have to be work at 9, I can't leave at 8:40. It takes 5 minutes to park maybe, and another 3 minutes to get to the office. So what if I leave at 8:25 and I walk into the office leisurely at 5 minutes to 9, and I have a few minutes to say good morning to my coworkers before I start work, because work's supposed to start at 9, so I have a few minutes. So I start the day in a joyous way, not a hurried way. If I come in 5 minutes late, I would say, oh, sorry, I'm late, and run into the meeting, disturb the meeting, and I'm completely out of the present moment. And the whole day starts off wrong. So, there was another, we won't go there, about making one's bed. That's the best way to start the day is to make one's bed, to take the time to make one's bed. Someone was suggesting that. I like that because it forces us to slow down and say, okay, make it properly. My day has started. The room looks good. Everything is ready. And by training our mind, it's really a matter of training our mind. When we find our mind, and we do that in meditation, we find our mind running to the past or to the future, we bring it back to the present moment, and we can take the help of the mantra and bring it back to the here and the now. And gradually, and by doing one thing at a time. When we do something, give it our attention. Do it well. Whatever small, that's the secret of karma yoga, to give our attention to what we are doing and pay attention to the means, not to the ends. The ends will take care of themselves if we pay attention to the means. Give our mind to what we are doing. Do it well, even if it's a small thing. And find the joy of doing something well, even if it's just washing the dishes. And gradually we learn to be here now in the luminous present, and to stand where we have always been standing, in the presence of the divine, in the presence of the timeless, in the presence of the eternal. So that's my thoughts today on being here now, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to remind myself and all of you about these ideas.
Thank you so much.
No, but we typically, thank you anyhow. We kind of avoid clapping in our Vedanta talks. So all the glory of the Lord. Shall we close with a prayer?
Yes.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niranaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkhabhan Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all beings be happy. May all be free from disease. May all experience and realize the auspicious and the good. And may none suffer. Om peace, peace.